Right, so thank you all very much for being involved in another Twine Hangout. My name is Joe Scarf, and I'm the Community and Marketing Manager at Twine, a network that brings creative freelancers together and breaks down geographical boundaries to help them collaborate and find paid work. I'm lucky to be joined today by talented musicians from across the world to discuss today's topic, how to collaborate with vocalists. I want to explore the do's and don'ts of communication, sending work to each other, and then releasing tracks. And I'm delighted to say that we've got the legendary rap artist Cocaine, King of G-Funk, with us today. He doesn't really need any introduction, but just say a few things. He's the most featured artist in the world and has worked with many of the most influential figures in hip-hop, including Cypress Hill, Dr. Dre, Busta Rhymes, P. Diddy, Ice Cube, Bootsy Collins, among many others. And he's also the owner of the record label Buddy Boy Entertainment. He's going to be joining us in just a second. I'd also like to welcome the internationally renowned vocalist, actress and dancer Cheryl Martinez. She's been tapped by the industry's biggest artists to showcase her talents in music videos like Beyonce's If I Were a Boy, 50 Cent's Rider Part 2, and has acted in major Hollywood feature films, including Spider-Man 3. She recently joined Twine and is collaborating with a number of music producers from around the world. And I'm pleased to welcome back the CEO of Mobat Entertainment Bishop and President Chaz Goodwin, and professional Texas-based mixing engineer Calvin Venus. And yeah, welcome everyone, and looking forward to discussing our topic today, collaborating with vocalists.
Yeah, this is a bumper one.
Yeah, exactly.
Good to be here, fellas.
So I just wanted to talk to Calvin first about sending audio tracks. What are the do's and don'ts in terms of artists sending you material? What do you prefer they send you? Is it just the stems in WAV format? Or just tell us the ideal scenario.
Ideal scenario? Talk to me first. That's the ideal scenario. I like to hear what you're listening to. Because it's a game of golf, man. You got to get nearest to the hole, and you want me to work efficiently. You're paying for my time, so give me a couple of references, just so I know exactly what you want. And then what I like is 24-bit and anything 48 kilohertz upwards. But also, depending if you're working with a producer already, give me your producer's email. Or his telephone number, because I want to make sure that he's got good gain staging. I don't want everything wall to the top.
Can you just explain that to everyone? What is gain staging, and what do you mean by wall to the top?
So, obviously, most of these expressions are my own, so you have to apologize.
I think they're technical terms, but yeah.
I remix everything, so I don't speak the Queen's English, not much like Joe here. But essentially, gain staging is just the management of your signal flow from the beginning. So as you're recording, you're not recording with peaks, right through to the channels that you're not, applying all your plugins with it peaking to your auxes and then your master bus that there's no peaks in there. So you're not introducing any digital artifacts that's not supposed to be in the recording throughout the process. So essentially, what I'm really saying is keep it green. Keep it green.
Right.
That way, because especially when it comes to like hip hop, a lot of stuff is processed already. So I don't have to do much to some of those processed beats sometimes, unless you got something from all over the place and you try to make it sound like it's one song. Then yeah, okay, then I need to get in there and try and glue it together. But it's good to have some good signal management flow from the start to the end. If you're unsure, as you can tell, I can talk for Britain. Just give me the phone, call me, get the producer to call me, and I help you out.
Cool.
It's my job to help you out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Bishop, how about you? How do you like stuff to be sent to you, track-wise? Do you like WAV's 24-bit, or what software bundle, project bundle do you like to get?
Well, I've pretty much worked on everything. I mean, it all depends on the track and how we're working it. You know what I mean? I mean, if it's a collab, I'll drop my vocals most of the time, and I'll send it to artists, or I'll send them the track and have them do their vocals and send it to me, and then I'll get it all finished after that. But I mean, I really don't have a certain format that I like to use at all, honestly. I mean, because I really don't do much of the production part of it yet, but that is coming. Remember, the "yet" word is in there. But but that's. I mean, it all depends. It just really all depends. And like you said, you have to talk. You just have communication with each other. I mean, because if you just don't have any communication, then it's not gonna work. It's gonna be all over the place.
Right. Yeah, I think that's been one of the main things about the last Hangouts. The main topic has been communicating well and laying out clearly what you expect from people that you're working with.
Exactly.
Chaz, how about you? What would you say are the good practices and bad practices of sending the stems of projects?
Well, I agree with Calvin on that deal there. Keep it in the green, because when you're doing the remix, yes.
Sorry to interrupt you. We've got
yeah, go ahead.
Shireel joining us. Have I got your? I want to make sure I pronounce your name right. Shireel Martinez.
Yes, that's correct. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. I've just already read out your bio, but it's a great pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
No problem. So the topic today is collaborating with vocalists, and just been asking Calvin, who's a mixing engineer from Texas, and Chaz, who is the president of a company called Mob Out Entertainment, about how they like projects to be sent to them. And just wanted to get also your view on it. As a vocalist, how do you like to get projects sent to you by producers?
I like a shared Dropbox folder because we can just both put our stuff in there as we continue to work on the projects, and it's very fast, easy and seamless, and you don't have to lower the quality of the file size by emailing it or anything like that. Right, yeah, absolutely. In terms of the actual file types, what software do you use, and what projects, how do you like the projects laid out? Well, I'm not really sure what you're asking. Like, they can just send me the beat, and then I'll record my vocals in any of the recording software, and then what I'll do is I'll bounce it tracked out, and then I will send the dry tracked out vocals back to the producer so they can go ahead and edit them as they wish. Right.
Cool, yeah. We've also got Chisenga joining us from Australia. Chisenga is a Grammy-recognized music producer, and it's a great pleasure to welcome him back. How are you doing? You good?
Hey, doing great. How you doing?
Yeah, good. So today's topic is collaborating with vocalists, and I just wanted to get your opinion on plugins, and when you're sending tracks, between artists, what's the best way to avoid the nightmare of not having the right plugins and all that, and the tracks not sounding as they should?
I mean, I think that it's just general knowledge. Use what works. Number one, use what works for you. There's really no need to get all complicated. Stick to the basics. I like to use for my mastering and like just getting the right sound. I like to use Waves Mercury bundle, and I use Adobe Audition to to master and do all this other stuff. And and as far as sending the files, I just use Dropbox, a Dropbox link. or
Yep.
you know, we transfer, and yeah, that's about it.
Right. Cool. Okay. Great. Yeah.
I mean, sorry, and one more thing. In order to maintain the quality, I use a WAV file as opposed to MP3, because MP3 takes away from the quality of the file, the sound
Yep.
quality. So it's very important to use WAV as opposed to MP3. MP3 for me is more like you've made the product and you just want to, you know, maybe send it over to whatever other whatever platforms that need that format.
Exactly. Yeah. I think an important tip there for anyone watching is that if you want to, work on a serious project, don't send the engineer or producer a heavily compressed MP3. They need to be uncompressed, and they need to be of a decent bit depth, at least 16, not 24 bits. So
At the very least.
at the very least, exactly.
Yeah, at the very least, yeah.
So make sure that you understand your formats and don't send them something that sounds like distorted garbage, because they won't be happy with it.
Not sure, just call the engineer.
Yeah.
Call the engineer. He'll figure it out for you.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the other thing I want to talk about is communication channels and the formats and the frequency. Surreal, how often do you like to chat to producers on a project? Is it important for you to make sure you've got their number and can call them, or are you quite happy to just do it all by email and messages?
I prefer WhatsApp because I feel like everybody has that no matter where you are, in the world, and it's very easy, fast to communicate. You can even send quick audio clips there. And if I have a quick question, it's just really, really fast to communicate. And sometimes with my emails, I just get so bombarded that I'll overlook some emails. And with WhatsApp, it's pretty much only the people that I communicate with on a regular basis. So I'm bound to see your message there versus a regular text message or email. I'm not necessarily going to see it. So definitely WhatsApp for communication, but I would like to speak to them at least a few times, especially in the beginning, to see if there's any specific direction or vision that they have with the project. Did you have something in mind that when you heard me and my vocal style, did you imagine a certain vision that you had for this track, for as far as me collaborating with you on it? What would you like me to do with it? And then we can kind of exchange ideas and build from there as we go along. Since we can't be so raw and creative in the booth, just creating something from scratch together, because we want to be able to work with people from all over the world. Obviously that's the ideal way, but then I wouldn't be able to work with people in other countries if I can only stick with people I can actually be in the booth with in New York. So yeah, that's why I think to keep it as still as raw as we can, let's stay in touch every step of the way as we build the track together.
Right, exactly, yeah.
I agree.
That's a really good point, yeah. Bishop, how do you keep that rawness if you're not in the same location? How do you get that same vibing effect that you get in the studio if you're not in the same country or even continent?
Oh, I stay in touch with everybody, so, we get a feel of each other. I like to listen to their music, let them listen to a couple of tracks that I've done. I'll come up with a beat, or they'll come up with a beat to a track, and okay. I just like to stay in tune with everybody. Anything that I do, trust me, I don't care where you live, I'm going to make sure that I call you. So that way we have that line of communication, and then that way we vibe off each other and make a classic track.
Right, yeah. So you don't think that by communicating through the internet that you lose some of, or the important parts of the communication you get face-to-face?
Depending though. I mean, because me, I'm a people person, whether it's social media-wise or just talking to you face-to-face. I mean, I really do like meeting people face-to-face. That's one of the things that I've learned to do more. I'll come visit you where you stay if we're going to really work on a project and we're going to take it to the next level. If it's just a project we're going to put together, then I'll do the best I can to make sure we have proper communication and we're on the same page. So, I mean, that's just me, though. I mean, I'm just cut from a different cloth, I guess. This is the passion that I have. So, I mean, I don't leave any stone unturned. I'm always going to make sure that we're going to make something great, because no one, this is what we do. Just all of us that are artists and in this entertainment business, this is what we do. We're here to entertain. We're not here to make anything subpar. We're here to entertain the fans. So let's entertain them.
Exactly, yeah. Chisenga, how many of your projects are with people in different countries or not in your location? And how do you work with not having them in the studio with you?
Dan, I've done so many projects on that level, Joe. Yeah, I mean, from my second album to my present album, I've recorded a lot of tracks with people in different countries. And it all usually starts out with just catching a vibe and see, I listen to their work, maybe their previous work before our present, project that we're supposed to work on. Have a few chats maybe on the phone or just on email or, whatever chat format where we can catch up and just get a vibe of where we are, and I usually like to have a little talk about hip-hop and just see somebody's knowledge, because I'm a hip-hop artist.
Yes.
And I generally, get a feel of someone's musical knowledge. They might, like, I've got a song called Tougher Than Leather on my album, and that's actually inspired by Run DMC. It's not something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There we go. Now we're vibing. See how we react.
Exactly. Something that simple, You
that reaction, and you go in the studio knowing that you're vibing with the person that you're working with. And speaking of working with people, in other countries, I love to work with somebody here or a few of the people that I hear right now. It's been crossing my mind, but we just haven't done it. I'd love to work with somebody here.
I'm ready. Say the word.
Let's do it.
Cool.
We'll talk about it.
All right.
That's what Twine's all about, guys. Let's make it happen.
Yeah.
Just to chime in there, everyone was talking about references. I couldn't stress how important references are. Like Cheryl, I like to be communicated a lot. But as an engineer, my job is to serve my client. So whether the producer I'm serving or the artist that I'm serving, it's my job to meet them where they're at. So if they want a video chat, they're gonna get a video chat. If they want a telephone call, they're gonna get a video. If they want me to go across the sea or across the country to go see them, I'll make that possible, because that's my job. My job is to be completely flexible. My job is to communicate trust in a couple of minutes.
That's the key.
This is the thing. I really want them to be comfortable. I really want them to get what they asked for, and then I'm gonna get it better than that. My job is to get it better than what you've asked for. This week alone, worked with a guy in Portugal. His stuff came originally as MP3. I've asked him to have it give me a higher bit depth. So I wanted it 24-bit, 48 kilohertz. So he did that. So that required some communication. And his English is not great, but he prefers everything via text, so he can analyze and translate the text. Then I'm working with a guy who producing his album. His one is folk rock. So with him, he's local, but he communicates a lot via text message. Now I could just go and see him, just have this conversation, but he has these ideas that come out, and then I see the messages, and I get it on my computer, and then I just transfer it into my CRM and just keep the communication flow. Then there is my band that I've been working with. We do things with the text messages, but we see them locally. And then there's a girl that's in Houston. I'm doing her pop album, just mixing it. Never met her. I'm sure I could just go and meet her. But that one's been pure reputation. She just likes the work I've done, and she's just trusting with it. She's like, just do what you want and just send me your finished vocal version. So right there, you've got types of communication, and this happens all week. So my phone is still buzzing. It's going while we're having these conversations, and I want people to feel like they're with me in the studio. That my job is to just show them the passion I have in the work.
Right.
Passion in it's never too early, even if you woke me up. No, it's fine, it's fine. Sometimes I'm an agony aunt. Sometimes I'm going to have to pray with you. Sometimes I'm going to have to pick you up. You know, sometimes I'm going to listen to some of your ideas, and even if it's really, really bad, I don't believe in bad ideas. I'm the type of guy that picks up anything anyway. I'm trying to see your vision all the time, and then, you know, I'm in the business of creating long-term relationships. So,
Right.
you know, text, pigeon, whatever, smoke signals, and I can understand it. We're in business, you know. That's my job. My job is everything.
Right, exactly, yeah. And I think with that in mind, something I want to ask Shireel is, when you're working with an artist who's got, you know, a great stature, they're really well known, can it be difficult to strike the same vibe as someone that, you know, is, you know, someone that you know well, or, you know, is perhaps on the same level? How do you, you know, make sure it's relaxed but also keep that professional, you know, atmosphere?
Well, the vibing, I guess, with somebody really, really, really well known, I guess, is if it's got to their head yet, how much of a diva they are, and just the overall energy between the person. Some souls just have that, you know, karmic connection, and you can just feel those positive vibrations. Other people who are a little, you know, different, you just have to find other ways to connect with them. But I do believe that, you know, for musicians, we have, you know, something in us that just, you know, the music connects us. And if you're feeling the music and the song that you're working on together, then that's going to bring you together no matter what, you know, your personalities are like. The music will bring you together.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, you know, so music is the great communicator.
It is. It is.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No. But also, in terms of communicating well, you know, with a vocalist, what type of, you know, terminology and stuff do people need to make sure that they're aware of in terms of genres and different techniques and stuff? What stuff do people need if someone's just starting out? What do they need to read up on?
Who's that to?
Oh, back to Shireel. What do you think?
I don't think it's necessarily reading. I think it's experience. You know, I think the more experience you get, the more you're going to grow and learn. And I mean, music is not something someone can tell you how to do it. Like, you have to do it.
Exactly.
And you have to grow as an artist yourself. And that's how you're going to, you know, learn the terminology and live and grow as a performer and a vocalist and a writer and a producer and whatever it is that your craft is that you're pursuing in a real way.
Right, exactly, yeah. I think, yeah, that's definitely dealt well with that issue. In terms of contracts, I want to move on to Chaz. You haven't had a chance to chime in yet, so just wanted to ask you, at what point do you think is it necessary to formalize a contract outlining acceptable use and potential royalty splits with an artist, even if they're doing it for fun and not for business?
Actually, you should start discussing it in the beginning, as far as from what I've been seeing. Some people get confused and lose, you know, like Calvin was saying, you texting, some people don't get exactly what you mean with the text or whatever, phone call, or they forget whatever. So you should start, as far as what I've seen, my experience is mention it in the beginning. Find out what their artist is looking for, what they actually want, what the finalized, you know, the end project is going to be like. Set the contract around it, and then go from there. That's been my experience so far.
But might that put people off if you're saying to them, look, let's get a contract? You're like, whoa, we've not even got a hook down yet. We've not even got, you know, any material.
That's business.
Well, that sort of defines Mickey Mouse from the pro. Mickey Mouse is going to run because now they're scared because you're talking over their head now. The pro is going to say, okay, I haven't got everything all together yet, but yeah, thank you for bringing that up type deal. So yeah, that's how I feel on that.
But do you not think these days, with the technology and how flexible it is and how easy it is to jump on projects, that it's quite stifling for just people who just want to be creative and jump on tracks? I mean, you never know where a track might lead, right? You might just do it for fun. And then
this is true.
And it ends up being a total banger, and then, you know, you don't know what to do with it. Because
but then if you can't come to an agreement at that point because you didn't write the contract initially, now you have this crazy banger track that you can't do anything with because you guys haven't signed something, and now there's problems and drama. So it's always great to get that out of the way in the beginning. So if the track is going to change the world, you're ready to make it change the world.
Right.
Exactly.
So it's all about preparation, basically, covering all the bases, making sure that further down the line you don't have any regrets about.
Like you said, the more you get done in the beginning, the less you have to worry about when close to the end of the track or when the track is actually released. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I think this chimes in well with something that Bishop said last week, which is, fundamentally this is a business, and you've got to have your paperwork together, and you've got to be on it all the time, because otherwise you'll just, it could potentially ruin your career.
Yeah.
Bishop,
Oh my goodness.
Bishop, do you want to add something to that?
I mean, I would say one of the most important things, if you can't get through contracts or you're dealing with somebody that's not at the level where they think they can deal with contracts or understand the terms and conditions, one of the easy ways out is just to have a memorandum of understanding with that particular person. I've found that sometimes if you offer somebody a royalty split, that usually puts them at ease. And that's, of course, if you do make money out of the record. So.
Right. So you think offering that can kind of ease tensions in the relationship?
I have found that it often works.
Right.
Yeah, I do that myself.
Like you said, the more information the artist has, usually the easier the conversation goes there. And as far as with collaboration, you go ahead and be upfront with percentages, what's going to be happening, what's going to be in the contract, what you're expecting from them, and of course relate to them what they should expect from you right in the beginning. Now everything is, you're on smooth waters versus looking for that tsunami to hit.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Because that's how I do. That's how I do things. Period. Especially if I reach out to an artist and when I want to create a collab, because I love doing collabs. So if I hear a beat and I have a specific artist in mind, I'll talk to that artist and be like, okay, what do you think about the beat? Okay, look, I want us to work together. Okay, this is what's gonna happen. We break it all down. They're like, okay, good.
Exactly.
I only really work with artists that do have their paperwork together. I don't have anything against artists that don't have their paperwork together, but I do try to help them and try to lead them in the right direction. That way they can actually be productive in this business. Yeah. But that's just how I like to do it. I like to make sure that, hey, let's go ahead and get everything together. You already know off top that this song right here, we're putting it together. We're going to put it out to sell it. Okay, so what do you need? What do you need? Well, this is what I need, and then we're good to go. It's all said and done by the end of the conversation, and now let's just get to work. Right. Yeah. I think it's interesting as well how, with different music genres, the hierarchies and roles differ. So, if you take, for example, in the EDM scene, I remember in 2013, the UK newspaper The Guardian had a story titled "EDM's Shameful Secret: Dance music singers rarely get paid," where they exposed the fact that top DJs can demand 50 grand to 100 grand for a gig, and unlike bands or instrumental artists, they have hardly any overheads. Whereas the people who actually write the melodies and lyrics to these dance hits, as well as sing them, they were claiming that they rarely get paid for their work. I remember there was a scandal as well in the 90s with Milli Vanilli and CNC Music Factory, where they had to hand back their Grammy because it was found that artists were lip syncing on vocals of other tracks. Yeah. Is this something you've experienced yourself? What's the situation in the EDM scene at the moment?
Who's that to?
To Shereel.
I mean, I did notice that years ago. I felt like EDM was just all about the DJs. But I think that as EDM becomes more popular in different countries, as it continues to grow, and you see more and more non-EDM artists doing EDM songs, I think that's going to change and evolve over time. But the vocalists are the ones that are going to have to step up and make that change. We need to demand what we deserve and make sure that, you know, we're getting credit for what we deserve. I mean, how many super famous EDM singers can you guys name, right? But how many super famous, you know, pop, R&B type singers? Like, and if you think of that, just the general person, if you ask the general consumer of music, name your favorite artist, you know, they're not going to really, those you know, girls who have the lead vocals on like Tiesto and Calvin Harris's tracks, most people aren't going to even know their names, and that's really sad, because they have incredible voices, and if they wrote the tracks, even more so, they should receive their credit, and their names should get out there, and their exposure, and of course, you know, the monetary compensation in return. And I think that, you know, these vocalists need to step it up so that you know, that they can be a little bit more recognized. But, you know, I guess there's just so many female singers out there, and that if they don't have a name and they're like, oh, you know, I can be on Tiesto's track, like, really? Like, maybe they'll just go and do it for free and not really care whether or not their name is used on the song, and just give their voice, because they just want to work with a really big DJ. So it's tough, because we have to try to set the standard, and then everyone has to follow it. But you know, if there are people who still aren't, then, you know, they're kind of ruining it for everybody. So it's going to be a struggle, I think, for a while. But you know, like Rihanna's song right now, this is what you came here for, is, like, you know, in the top 5 on the charts right now, and that's an EDM song, and it's huge, and I'm sure she's getting paid for that. So you know. It's really it depends on the artist and how you know, how you make it happen for yourself or not.
You know what? Just to add to that, I think it's already changing, because you know I was an R&B hip hop DJ, and growing up in Croydon, in South London, where dubstep was invented, pretty much, it was all DJs were the producers. Nowadays, what's happening going forward is producers are trying to be DJs, but the producers are the ones that they're in their bedrooms, or, you know, their little project studio. They're making the beats and they're finding collaborations like that. You know, I think of Moloko. She's an artist that you could think electro pop, EDM, you know, and she's a credible artist that writes dance tracks. So I think it's already changed. Like I was just saying, the role of the DJ needs to pick up that role a bit more in more genres rather than just EDM. Mm-hmm. And what you're having is you've got a smartening of the act. You've got designing for these labels are thinking features and collaborations and you know, mashups and stuff like that. So I think it's already changing. We just have to catch up with it. The role of the EDM producer, they are working with engineers now. Like before, they used to engineer and master their own stuff, especially in, you know, growing up in the jungle scene, in the drum and bass scene, and then the dubstep scene. You know, it's just interesting that I'm starting to get more dubstep stuff. It's like, okay, I'm in Texas getting dubstep. It's cool. Or, trap soul or whatever, and it's just interesting. And now they're relying on engineers again, so they're getting wires into the you know, to commercial releases of their work. It needs to work on so many, not just in the dance clubs. Because most people are listening to their music not in the clubs. It's in their, you know, on their headphones. It's on iTunes. It's on Spotify. They've got to, you know, match up. So I think they already are, you know, smartening and they are changing. But
slowly
I
but
think,
surely.
yeah, I think that reveals who you are. If you feel that you need Tiesto to make it, then, you know, there are like 1,000 EDM producers that are looking for collaborations with vocalists. You know, and I think people should be thinking remix. So work on your own stuff, and then, you know, send out your stems, work out a little royalty fee, and that can bring more interaction to your work.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. I just wanted to move on to talking about how to give criticism and be constructive. And just want to ask, Jasenga, how do you deal with it? If something really stinks in the track and someone's not budging on it, how do you deal with that?
Did you really have to put that on me?
I thought you got your shoulders. You can take it.
Wow.
Not the question, the lousy vocals.
No offense, man, no offense.
No pressure.
Number one, at the top of the CD, that's my stage name. It's Crisis Mr. Swagger.
Nice.
No, so usually I'll usually write the person back. I give them words of encouragement for the effort made, because I've been taught that you got to start positive. It's not all dark. So I usually say, thanks for the effort, thanks for the work. I'm just not too sure if this is gonna work with what I'm looking for, because I'm actually, and then I let them know what my expectations are. If it's Rihanna meets Beyonce, which is a high expectation, I let them know. And sometimes, in all honesty, I raise the bar just so the person knows that it's impossible for them to deliver, just because I don't want to sound cruel and cold. So I'll really raise the bar and say I'm really looking for like Rihanna type vocals, and well, I can't really do Rihanna type vocals, and they go back to work, and I just let them know, look, if you need guidance or whatever, send me and it's not. Sometimes an amazing singer could just have a bad day, and they send you a vocal that doesn't sound amazing. Right. So you gotta try maybe once or twice, 3 times if you have the time. But it's sometimes it's all about the time, and you gotta cut to the chase and just say, look, this is not working. I tried it, but I've been trying different people, and you gotta be. I mean, sometimes honesty can hurt, but sometimes you gotta try to use it. And
Yep.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Just so you know, I'm going to use that set the bar high thing, man, okay?
I see a blog post coming along. Yes, looks good. I think, Calvin, that's not your approach.
No. But I mean, I do comments in. He's a producer, so he will arrive at a different area. He's at the end where they're making decisions for the track. I'm at the end where, well, depends if it's recording. But actually, there is something that came to mind. I was working with a guy in Sweden, and I won't mention names. It's not professional, for me anyway. And the backing track was awesome. And I'm the type of guy that goes through everything bottom up. So as I was hearing it, I was like, this sounds fantastic. This is going to be great. It's like an indie rock sound. And then I got to the vocals, and I was like, well, I've got a lot of hair to pull. But I was like, how am I going to do this? Because the pitching was, there was some strange modulation that you could only do on a keyboard. But he was doing with his vocal. Because I know what the track was in, but I don't know what he was trying to do. And it broke my heart. Because I had to do the best I can. That's my job. And I had to do the best I could, and no antes, no waves, plug-in would fix it. I did the best I can, sent it back to him, and he said, no word of a lie. I mean, I could take criticism. I gave it everything but the kitchen sink, and he said, my style. And I don't know what planet you're on, but that's okay. And then, I left it, professionally. But sometimes, I've had artists that they've booked a session. I know they haven't got much money. They're talented. Maybe they had red light syndrome and they just couldn't, hey, it's disease, man. red light syndrome. You've all been there, where like you've been practicing it, you've got it. You come to the studio, I'm telling you to go, and then you're wobbling like some sort of I don't know, some wet water bird or something, and it's not happening. And they already paid for the session. I've got to give grace and mercy to someone. Well, it's all good. I don't want you the pressure of thinking that you have to do this because you paid me and you feel like wasting my time. And that's I can meet them, especially if I've heard them sing before. So,
yeah. I just like to.
I may have to raise the bar sometimes, though. Time is
You started it out to sing good. Look what you've done. You've got us all going on that now. That's what I'm going to be thinking about all day. But just to follow up on that, I think it's really important for artists to be honest as well about the state of a track. I remember working on a track a few years ago with vocalists, and they had a great tone, but the tuning was just absolutely diabolical. And so I literally spent a week on Melodyne making it sound like it was in tune natural vocals. And then I remember people at the end saying to her, "Wow, you sang that so well. Was that done in one take? Like, that was incredible." And I thought, are you kidding me? I've just spent a week of my life putting in all the different plosives and all the different syllables and sorting out the tuning.
Wow.
And I wish, in retrospect, I just said to her, let's try and get this, get the tuning in your mind straight, first of all, before we lay down these tracks. Because, it's just not, right to, particularly when you're working on a project basis, to spend so much of your life just trying to get something to, to sound good. Because, I thought she had great talent and potential, and I wanted her to sound good. But if we just had that conversation, I think sometimes politeness can end up being just, being reserved, and you've got to be honest and you've got to be direct. That's what communication is.
I found with some vocalists who can sing, because I like to visit, if I can see their live performance, I like to get an idea of how they perform.
That's it, yep.
Bring that magic into the studio. Sometimes they're just not used to the studio. Sometimes they've got the mix and that they can't even hear. Sometimes they just need to just pull one,
one off to the side, and
just bring back some of the natural, acoustics of your voice coming back to your, to your ears, so you can just find your level. Sometimes it's just a technical thing. Sometimes it's just an emotional thing. It's like this whole experience. Oh, I said, I got a microphone in my face, and so. It's good to do your homework. I try to do my homework on anyone that I work with, and just find out where they are, who they are, and what they're capable of. Find out what the range are. So I'm not asking for anything impossible, But like I said, I'm arriving as an engineer at this point, as opposed to a producer.
Right. Yeah.
But I have worked. I've reworked vocals extensively, just to keep the project going. But
right.
I have a question for everybody. How many of you guys have worked with the artists that just had to have the mic in their hand? That never been in the studio before?
Oh, no.
How about you, Matt? Have you had that?
Yes.
Oh, my God.
Come on, Bishop. Tell us all.
It's a focus group now. Tell me your pain. Hi, my name's Chaz.
Man, basically I just had to shut down because we just couldn't get along. Look, man, the mic's there. It's set up so you don't spit in it. This is not the stage, you can do all that stuff when you get on stage. This is a real recording. He's moving around. The mic's hitting him up against the chest. No, man. No.
Was he having a live performance?
Yeah, exactly. He's in the studio trying to do a live performance. Of course, they brought the crew with them, and he's trying to act like he's the. You try to separate them, but of course the crew is sticking their head, in the window looking in, and he's, the guy's trying to. Nah, man. I just shut it down. Okay, next time when you come, leave your crew at home. The mic's going to be on the stand. You can't touch it. If you need one, here's an extra one. Hold this one,
I love it. I went on Twine Hangout. Love your stories, guys. It's brilliant. I just wanted to ask Sheryl about edits and modifications. Have you ever had a situation where you've sent vocals to a producer and then they've gone away and done stuff with it that you just thought, why have you done that? And
oh God,
how do you get back from that to end up with something that's a good compromise of what you both want?
Yeah, some producers, there's just, no budging. You can have ideas for the track, but if some of the people are just going to do what they want to do because they're like, this is my beat, and I'm going to mix your vocals however I want, and I'm going to send it to you, and you either take it or leave it. And sometimes I'm like, oh, you took out all my harmonies. And I'm like, why'd you do that? It's,
Wow.
I loved my harmonies. Or they'll go and, just rearrange it in a way where I didn't see it. And sometimes I will admit that if you sit on it for a while and revisit it a little bit later, you can come back to it and be like, oh, you know what, now that I got what I did out of my head and see how they changed it, and I'm like, you know what, that's actually really cool. I really like what they did. But other times, it should be a mutual thing. But that really depends on what type of, working relationship and connection you have with the producer. Are you guys on the same page from the beginning? How are you guys working together, and can you continue to work together after that track? But most of the time, I mean, it's very, very rare where the producer is just, not doing what I really want him to do as far as mixing my vocals or arranging my vocals after I sent him the vocals tracked out. But most of the time, because the people that I am choosing to work with obviously are people who I believe in their talent. So if I believe in that producer and I agree to work on a track with them, the majority of the time they're going to do an amazing job, because that's why I said yes to working you in the first place, because I think you're amazing and I trust what you're doing, and I trust that you're going to deliver, because I'm giving you my best work and you're going to give me your best work, and together it's going to be amazing work. So yeah, most of the time there's no issues, but once in a while I'm like, I really loved my harmonies, why did you take them out?
I agree. I've been there enough times myself.
Yeah, do you want to? Have you got some stories about that or advice, Bishop? You want to share on that?
Oh God, yeah. I've had my good and bad. But I've separated a lot of things. I'm dealing with producers now that know what I want, because I let them know what I want. And even some of the producers that I was working with before, they would know exactly what I wanted, but everybody has their own trademark they like to put in, and sometimes the trademark doesn't work. I hate when a person uses a lot of reverb on my vocals when I'm already giving the best vocals as it is. But now everything is beautiful. So, you guys out there that want to keep changing up people's stuff, make sure it's okay with them first before you just make the whole thing completely done the way you want it, because it may not be what they want. You got to, like you said, you got to compromise in everything. In this industry, man, this is a business, people, and you have to compromise at all times in order for something great to happen. It's just that simple.
Come on, man, but the way I do it is dope.
Maybe for the people around the block, but this is a business, and I consider myself a professional, so everything has to be done that way. I'm sorry, that's just how I am. I've been from the trenches. I'm on the flatland, and I'm trying to make things better. So. Hey man, it's just me.
I just wanted to quickly touch on a very technical issue and just speak to Chisenga about mid-side processing compared to left and right. Do you mind if you're sent something that is split mid-side, or do you mind, or do you prefer just to get the whole straight stereo signal?
No. So if I'm working on vocals, a lot of people appreciate what I do in the studio, engineering-wise, sound engineering-wise. So I'll usually ask for the lead vocal on its own, the backing vocals, and then I'll pan them left and right, whatever needs to go, whichever way. Right. And I'll let them hear it. I let them hear the track and see how they feel about it. And sometimes they might, get back to me and say, I like my ad libs a little louder or whatever, and I like one ad lib on the right, and I fix it up. I let them hear it, because that's what it is. We're working in it, you know, from a distance. So there's a lot of back and forth, and it's part of the job. So, and then just get it right. And I mean, one of the tracks that I enjoyed working on my album, The Quiet Dawn, is a song called B.A. Baracus, Mr. T, with a guy called Lokdab. His vocals are amazing. He's got amazing delivery, and you know, he's an American rapper. You know, so I get that a lot, and sometimes I send vocals to a rapper and they like it immediately, or singer or whatever, and they just trust my work, and that's it. But in a nutshell, I like to get, you know, the different stems of a track, whether vocals or beats or whatever. I like to just get the different stems. That way we can fix and adjust anything. If there's any errors, sometimes I'm able to fix and make things easier. If it's in one stereo track, the problem with that is you can't if there's a glitch on the vocal and the person's not available to record the vocal. Let's say we've got a deadline of tomorrow, and I need to make a plan and cut out the part of the vocal where there's an error, and actually record my voice over it to rejoin the artist's voice. Sometimes that's what you're forced to do because the person's not there to record the part. You can't do it with a complete stereo track, so you need the different stems to be able to chop and cut it up and fix it.
That's how I send my music whenever a producer's like, hey, send me your still. I send everything from ad libs to the beat, everything. You have it all.
Yeah. And what do you do about plugins and stuff, Bishop? Do you like to have make sure that you've all got the same rig, or do you just make sure that the stuff's hard bounce into the track so you've not got to worry about it?
I do both.
Right.
I do both. It all depends on who I'm working with at the moment, and you know, and what kind of time frame it is. That's just me.
Right. And
vocal-wise, vocal-wise, I've never really sort of worried about what plugins they use. A lot of people say I've got a good ear, so you know I try to listen. You know, I try to take that and just use it to the best of my ability. So I just try to match the vocals as much as possible, so people can't tell that we were in different studios. I just level it out, the volume, the tone, and how it rides the beat, and that basically the different tones also kind of sets different gears, for lack of a better word. It sets different gears for the track, and that's not exactly a bad thing that one person might sound slightly different. It kind of adds an interesting flavor to the track sometimes.
Right.
Right. Yeah, I think that's an important thing to add, is to keep a certain amount of charm, roughness to the recording, because people can tell when stuff's too polished sometimes. And I think we're seeing a nice trend now of tracks sounding more human and less robotic. So I hope it keeps going that way. Yeah, exactly. And Calvin, I just want to ask you from a mixing point of view, I mean, how do you like it? Do you tend to decode tracks into mid-side, or do you just keep them as they are? How do you do it?
I tend to flip between the two for whatever. If I need to get a bit more depth of field, it might be just to say the drum track, like in stereo, like in my aux bus. It might require that. I've been doing that for some reverb sometimes. It might be a master bus. I might do some of that. I've been, I kind of go through everything. You know, I always mono everything. If I lose any frequencies when I flick to mono, then I may need to go mid-size and side and see if that works. But in my business is part art, part technical, and If the art seems compromised in any way, then I flick to, technically and just start fixing areas, looking for phasing, looking for, any frequencies that have been lost because of, some development in the track. It might be the arrangement, especially when you're working with guitars. Mid-side works really well with guitars if you need to keep that, its dynamics and its potency all throughout a busy track.
Right.
So yeah, I flip between the two. Don't do it so much for hip hop, but I have because of one producer, because he uses a lot of synths and they're layered, and I didn't want it to lose its where it's going creatively. I can't think of a better way to express myself there, but
Right.
yeah. But I use all manner of techniques, whatever is required for the track.
Right.
Exactly.
And final question, guys. What's your favorite vocal mic or mics, and what do you use the most? Shereel?
Well, actually, you can see one of the microphones is I have right here, because this one I can like take with me on the go. This is the blue Yeti.
Oh yeah.
It actually is USB, so I can just plug it into my laptop and literally record like anything, anywhere, anytime. I did mad research on what is the best USB microphone for recording, and this one's really great because it's like it has the different. I can't remember all the names, but one is like a cardioid, one is omnidirectional, one is, and it's 4 different like pattern selections as far as like, so I could use it for other things too. If I'm doing like live streaming, sometimes I do like live streaming shows. I can put on a different one versus when I'm going to be recording actual vocals. So I really like this because I'm always traveling and on the go, so I can record anywhere and anytime without needing all the crazy wires and everything that's needed in like the real studios. So I find
Can I clone you?
Yeah, no, please. But you have to get the pink pop filter to go with it, though.
That's awesome.
But,
that's sweet.
Yeah,
nice.
So I definitely recommend this one for USB purposes.
Cool. Yeah, I think that raises just a quick thing to add.
Oh wait, one more though. I have to show you guys. This is my Sennheiser microphone for live performances.
Oh, look.
Nice.
I
just came out.
Personalized as well.
Yeah, this is my Sennheiser, but so this is a wireless that I use for all of my stage shows because I dance like crazy when I'm on stage, so I need my wireless mic, and I actually put on all these Swarovski crystals myself, one by one by one. You can see some of them are starting to fall off, and I need to fix it. But it took me weeks to do this. I would do like maybe an hour a day and just like sit in my living room and just like glue one at a time. Never again will I ever do it, but this will definitely be my favorite mic for the rest of my life because of how much love and time and energy went into it.
That was worth the time. I love it.
Yes. My life has changed now.
Yeah, right.
I think all of us have, yeah. But I think that raises a good point with mics now. They need to be portable. I mean, it's great to have a Neumann U87 or even a 47 if you've got the money, but these days you can get USB mics to do a really great job, and they're so much more practical.
They do.
And useful. Yeah, absolutely.
I've got to say, technically, guys, get a reflection filter. The reflection filter does more of the work for you. You can use you can actually use a Rode NTA-1A. Perfect. It's a good microphone. It's like around $100. But if you get a reflection filter, it's going to sound like you're in the booth.
Right.
That you can make any. I could put an SM58 in a reflection filter and make your vocals sound like you're in the booth. And just for the record, Busta Rhymes has done all his albums, most of them, with an SM58.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not the mic, it's where you use it. Application is important. Because I spend so much time as an engineer taking the room sound out of your vocal and masking it sometimes with reverb, which I hate to do, because you want to use it creatively to fix things. I've had to use multi-band compression now on vocals because sometimes proximity effect on microphones are different. If you pull out, you get thinner. You get, and obviously no one's in a headlock and stuck. So to keep the vocal strong, you either get that's why you do need a good microphone. Really, they're at that price for a reason. But if you don't have the budget for that, get a reflection filter because you can do well with a cheaper mic these days.
Yeah.
Good advice, thank you. Yeah, that's brilliant. And Jasenka, how about you? I imagine, do you mostly work out of like studio booths? What's your favorite vocal mic?
I use different mics, but this one that I'm using right now is an NT2 Rode mic.
Yep,
so,
in Australia.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm in Australia actually, so yeah. That's what I've been using lately, but once upon a time, I got a mic from a friend of mine, and I don't even know the name. It looked like an SM. What's the Shure mic?
SM58.
58, 57.
57.
Yeah, it looks something like that, and it was quite heavy. But I've only seen that mic once, and it broke, and it's the one that I used before this one. And it was the best mic I've ever used.
Oh,
but I don't know what mic it was because I bought it secondhand, and the name was kind of erased.
Was it black?
No, it was silver.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it was by Shure?
Sorry?
But it was a Shure microphone.
No, it wasn't a Shure microphone. It looked like, but it wasn't. But it was quite heavy.
Right.
So I know it wasn't, it wasn't anything cheap, but somehow it just broke and just stopped working.
No.
Yeah. When you get one piece of equipment and it breaks, it's just like,
Yeah.
All is lost.
Bishop, how about you? Sorry, but Bishop, what mic do you use for your mostly for rapping, etc.? What would you recommend?
Well, I do radio as well, so I use the Bluebird sometimes. This is my trusty carry around with me at all times. Studio compressor mic. Cool. When I have my little portable studio, whenever I do go back home and I get creative with the family. But other than that, I'm most of the time in any studio and whatever mic they have up. Professional wise, a mic is a mic to me. I can care less what it looks like. I'm going to still do work to it, so it doesn't matter.
No, I think that's the overriding point from this, is that it's not necessarily about the equipment you're using, it's how you use it. Obviously, there are limits with stuff, but overall, yeah, it's worth spending the time developing your skill rather than trying to empty more of your bank account. On equipment.
I've got $1,000 mics in my studio locker, and I've got $100 mics in my studio locker. I'm using my $100 studio mics, but I'm using reflection filters. I'm placing them in the right place, and I'm mindful of the acoustics. So you got to use your ears. Just because microphones are getting cheaper, and the quality. I mean, you get great microphones coming out of California, Sterling. Great microphones coming out of Australia, Rode. Shure microphones, they've always remained, value for money, for me anyway. And so many quality microphones, Blue, they always have everything from their preamps to their actual microphones. They give you great bang for your buck. S microphones, another great microphone. There's so many good microphone companies now. Sontronics, so many great microphone companies that give you great value for money because they know that the project studio is where everybody's at now. The home studio, project studio, mobile studio like Cheryl has. So what you really, really need is, be mindful of your acoustics. Get a reflection filter, which is also cheap. You can get them as cheap as $100, $150. Really, really good ones are around about $300. I'm telling you, you can take that booth into your hotel room, into wherever you are, and it's going to sound like you're in a professional studio. Guaranteed.
Exactly. Awesome. Exactly.
I think that's a really good note to finish up on. Thanks so much, guys, for being part of another Twine Hangout. I just want to send apologies from Cocaine. He's been trying to connect to this call throughout, and he was actually up all night because it's in LA time. It's pretty early, 7 a.m. So he was gutted that he couldn't connect, but he was messaging me throughout this saying over and over again he was getting connection errors. So we'll get him back on and we'll hear more from him because he's a legend. So apologies everyone for that. From Cocaine, he was gutted he couldn't make it, but yeah. Anyway, thanks very much to Calvin, to Chaz, to Sharia. Welcome to Twine Hangout.
Thank you. Thank you.
To Chisenga, thanks so much again, and to Bishop, and from me, Joe Scarf. Please, if you haven't checked out Twine, head to www.twine.fm or look us up on the App Store, Twine. We've got apps for iPhone and iPad, and get collaborating. Yes. But anyway, have a good week, guys, and I'll look forward to seeing you and chatting about more music production and industry stuff at another Twine Hangout. Take care.
Pleasure meeting you all.
Have a great one, guys.